a final check. So let's hope that this works in a way or another. I'm going to invite you in again. Now I can't see. No, I can't see you at all.
Are you? Is it better?
Yeah. Oh my God, I panicked.
How about me?
I don't know what happened.
You know,
Oh
actually,
my God.
what I did is I went on my settings and to make sure that all the, like video, all those microphone sound were all
Yeah.
enabled, and the sound button was closed.
I doubt it. I mean there was a doubt. I mean let's keep it rolling. Let's not close the live. Oh my God.
No.
Oh
Can
my
I
God.
put my okay? Because I have Instagram only on my phone, and
Yeah.
I'm going to have to install it on my computer, so then this doesn't happen again. But I've never done Instagram lives, so that's why.
There's no problem at all. I'm going to just
I'm not
find.
even I'm not even going to attempt to put on my earphones.
It's it's because when you told me you couldn't connect, I started calculating all the possibilities of things that could go wrong, and I panicked and I started looking at our conversations, and I said, "No way."
And the thing is, Gayla, I am not a technical person. So
Yeah.
if something doesn't work, I wouldn't know what to do to fix it.
That's reassuring.
Yeah, so that's my story.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to just like find myself, because I normally just sit down, and prepare for the live, but it's okay. And let's take the opportunity to just like hang on a couple of minutes before people
Sure,
start
sure,
showing in,
alive. Yeah,
because we told everyone that we'll be starting at 7,
at
but there's no
1.
problem.
Okay,
Um,
7 and 1 o'clock for me.
exactly. So how is the weather on your end?
Well, it's like I would say November, December, January were fabulous
Yeah,
for our winters,
yeah,
but February and March is like everything is condensed into those 2 months. So we
yeah.
had a lot of snow,
Oh
we
my
had
God.
a lot of cold, and yeah, so it's cold, but the positive thing about when it's really cold is that the sun is out,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
very sunny.
It
And
compensates. It
oh
compensates,
yeah,
right?
have you ever been to Canada?
Honestly, not yet. It's on the list, but
Oh yeah,
sometimes I feel it's far away, and I don't know. I feel that it's far away. What can I do?
no, it's
It's
not that far.
it has to happen very soon. I mean, no,
Mont-
I
Montreal is, oh sorry, Montreal is a beautiful city. You will love it.
Yeah,
It's
I'm sure.
very,
I'm sure.
yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah.
Sometimes as much as you hear stories about cities and countries, you feel that you're already there. So I already project my trip, envision it, and hopefully, yeah. I mean, plus, it's really always interesting for me to visit different places to also learn about the retail culture, not only the touristic aspect, etc. So it's an
Yeah,
opportunity. I mean, it's sick, but
yeah. Well, I'm sure I couldn't tell you about the history of retail here, but yeah, I could tell you is that it has definitely changed. Because I moved here with my parents a long time ago. I'm originally from Casablanca, Morocco.
Okay.
So I'm an immigrant in this country,
Okay.
and so I remember when we first moved here, and my father, loved his baguette and his good bread, and he would go to out and buy bread and couldn't find decent bread, so he had to drive in different parts of the city, and because it was impossible to find things that we were used to. That's
Yeah.
just like for food. And then for clothing and all kinds of stuff like that, it was like, forget it. It's really, the retail has changed and improved and become a beautiful experiences when, because of the immigrants. Really,
Yeah.
it changed, and then the population here became more sophisticated, and so there's all kinds. But you will find, is what's wonderful about Montreal, is if
Mm.
you go to certain streets, you can find stores that have been here since 1935, and they're still
Wow.
selling their good old bagels or salami, or so that, because it's an immigration country, so you have Polish, sausages, butchers, and the men are still old and walking down. So
There's a
that, or
beautiful
if you
medley,
go,
you know.
or if you go to another neighborhood, you'll find Lebanese food and Lebanese stores, and people only speaking in Lebanese. Or now we have a big wave of immigration of Indians and people from Sri Lanka. So if you
Yeah.
go to the neighborhood, I feel like I'm in Sri Lanka.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are
Yeah.
all dressed up. So that to me is beautiful.
Right. And you feel that there are these like micro little environments where lots of things happen, you know, and they create
Completely.
a big impact. I mean, yet alone, just by us talking about this, we're storytelling, you know, about
Yes,
retail
yes,
environment. And this is
yes.
the great opportunity that made us think about this live and about this discussion, because there are lots of stuff that we need to be talking about and that relate to storytelling and your story with storytelling, right?
Yeah, yeah, but
So,
I mean, obviously, we won't be able to cover everything. But I can tell
of
you
course.
that one of my joys in living here is discovering those neighborhoods. Just
Yeah,
because the faces tell me stories, the stores tell me stories, the the
yeah.
the, the products tell me stories. And the man standing outside the door smoking his cigarette tells me a
Mm,
story.
mm,
So
mm,
every
mm.
little bit, so a lot of my shopping, food shopping mainly, is in those little small neighborhoods, just
Yeah,
because I get a whiff of wonderful stories.
yeah. And talking about that, would you think that today all of these little hubs, like these little retail hubs, are they recreating a little sparkle in the scene that we became so accommodated to in retail, like having a mall, a supermarket, this and that?
Yeah,
I mean, what's your comment on that? Because lots of people are re-talking openly about it, you know. At a certain point, we didn't want to go to the little baker or butcher to do our shopping, nor wanted to go to the little seamstress, you know, to repair our things. But today, these have more meaning to our retail, right?
yeah, yeah. I think that in a place, and I think Paris is the same, but in Canada, I mean, in Montreal, we are a country of immigration. So those little places that we're talking about were frequented by their own people, by their population. So it wasn't like they were, fading away or empty. And we became intrigued by that.
Yeah,
So people have been going, like, even like chefs, new chefs, and, famous chefs in Montreal. A lot of them are, creating their food based on something that's Indian that they picked up along the way, or something that's Chinese. So it's like a very much a fusion kind of food. So it's that's what adds up to the beautiful story of our city.
Right.
It's
Very
like
interesting. Very
those
interesting.
little things. Yeah, and
Uh,
China, we have a big Chinatown.
right. I mean, it's like a mini continent inside a little city, right? I mean, I couldn't imagine it
Yeah, no, I mean,
less different than that.
if you do come to Montreal, I'm sure you'll enjoy, and like every neighborhood has its cachet. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
the Chinese, where the Chinese live, where the Sri Lankans and Indians live, and the stores, and they don't even speak, French or English. I mean, you have in Paris, there's all the African and the Maghrébin, and the North African. I think
yeah,
maybe here it's even broader. Like we have
right.
more people here than, because it's cold. Nobody wants to live here.
It's called during the winter. During the winter. Let's put it that way to keep the positive advertising.
Yeah, but in the summer, it's very hard to believe that it could be it's cold in winter, and then the summer, it could be so warm. It could go
Yeah,
up to 30, 33, 35 degrees.
right,
Full of
right,
trees, and I garden. I garden on my balcony in the summer. I have vegetables growing.
right. Interesting. It's good to see life happen.
Boy, am I happy we got connected.
Yes, me
Oh,
too. So let's kick off. Let's kick off. It's 7. Hopefully people will start coming in. Sometimes when these little bugs happen, we could disconnect easily from the
okay.
channel, but Instagram will try to log us back in on the wave. So Sylvia, like, who are you and why are you interested today in storytelling? It's important to like plant things in the right decor, right?
Yes. Okay, well, who I am, I think that fundamentally I'm a storyteller. I think
Hmm.
that my heart is a storyteller. And I come, like, if a little bit of my story, I come from a family that loved to share stories. My
Yeah.
grandmother loved to tell stories. My mother loved to tell stories. And my father, and I used to be like really, at their hanging from their mouth, like, yes, tell me more. And I've almost become, in my family, I've almost become like the pivotal point. Like when people need to know something, they call me, hey, Sylvia, do you know about this? And do you know this person? I was like,
Reference.
sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't know. Why are you asking me? So it's no surprise. It's no surprise for me that storytelling has become like one of my passion. And when I went to university, I graduated from a film school here in Montreal, Concordia University, and I worked in the film industry for a number of years. And then so any like industry where there's room to tell the story, I'm going to be there. And then I was always interested in marketing, and I was always really interested. I love retail. I really, really love retail. It's one of my passions. And so at some point, I decided to leave the film industry and to redirect my career. And at the time in the 90s, the internet was becoming a big thing. And I thought, wow, that's fantastic. I want to be able to, because you tell stories on the internet, right? So
Right.
I want to be
Yeah.
part of that. So I worked. So basically, I've worked, like I would say, about between 15 to 20 years in marketing with various agencies in branding, and I worked with accounts, national and international accounts, and my focus was always like, what do we tell? What stories do we tell about this brand? So it wasn't so much about focusing on the products, but really focusing on what kind of stories can we tell to be able
Mm,
to engage with people. So it's always been part of my vision and my approach to my work. And then I decided, because something I wanted to do for a long time, to become a consultant and to join my passions of retail branding and storytelling. So I've been a consultant in brand strategy in retail, and I work for I've been doing this for like maybe 7-8 years, and I work with small to medium sized companies. I think there's more to say about them than the larger companies. And the larger
sure.
companies have the big agencies that they could work with. And the smaller guys, sometimes who have the most interesting stories, you know, they're dying to be able to tell them. So I'm here to be able to help them. So I work with, to give you an idea of the range of the type of clients that I have. I work with high-end designed objects, kitchen accessories, local brands. I work in fashion. I have some fashion clients. I have some luxury linen clients. Perfumes, cosmetic, food and beverage. So, you know, it stays in the retail. I love beautiful things. So I
Mm,
like to work with, you know, products that are beautiful. And I really, I'm always very, very interested in who is the founder of this company, who's
right.
behind,
Who's
what is,
behind it? Yeah.
yeah, who's behind us, and what is his or her passion that we can share, you know, with people. So all around it, you know, this is what I do.
And Sylvia, this is really really interesting. But if we want to simplify like things to the very bottom, you know, how do we do storytelling? You know, there should be a way to find that core or that essence and to be able to reflect it through something. So first
Yeah.
of all, how do you like dig in and find
Okay.
that essence?
Yeah. So what I do, I think what's essential to be able to tell a story is you have to know who you are. So the first legwork is to really define the brand's DNA and the brand identity,
Yeah.
because that's where the premise is. So, you know, so it's, yes, there's an analysis, there's some legwork to be done, there's an audit to be done. And a lot of times in retail, you know, brands haven't done that work. You know,
Yeah.
they're just into selling their products, showcasing the product. They haven't really thought about that. So I help them to go to really find and what is the essence of who they are, and what do they want people to know about them? What is it that
Mm,
they want to communicate? So that's like really the basic uh, beginning. That's the basic work. And from there, we find what is the essence, what is the core, and we decide, you know, together, what is it you want to bring forward? Is it the uniqueness of your brand? Is it what you stand for? Is it your values? You know, so we have to find out. And who are you talking to? Who are you
yeah.
addressing? Who do
Your
you
audience.
want? Who's going to listen to your story? So you have to also know who your clients are to be able to make sure that the story that you're going to tell, or the story you're going to choose to tell, because there could be many stories you could tell. So the
Sure.
stories that you choose to tell is going to resonate with your client. And one thing that we need, the main objective of storytelling is to create an emotional bond with people.
Mm, mm.
So by knowing who they are, you know, then you know how you could, what story you could tell them that's going to make that connection with them. And then
So
one,
we're going to attend to those in more details because what you're saying is very, very, very important. However, I'm intrigued to understand something. Since you're working with smaller companies or establishing brands, let's say, brands who need this assistance and who need to have a better reflection on the market, Is it true that most of these brands struggle in the first place to understand who they really are? Do you find that most of these brands kick off on the wrong foot because they go in a direction and they haven't really understood what they
Ab-
stand for initially, right?
Absolutely.
So how
Absolutely.
can you comment on that? Like it's like the first maybe point that differentiates a
Well,
smaller brand, you know? Yeah,
yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, it's really it's just a step by step analysis. You know, I when I meet with my clients, I sit down with them and I partner with them, and I have a real, process. There are questions to be asked to find out as much as possible who they are. So it doesn't really matter the size of the brand. And I would say actually, especially today, with what's happening with retail in total disruption, it's really important to have a strong brand identity and a story, because that's what's going to differentiate you from the competition, from other people. So it doesn't. What's the word again? I'll say it. Differentiate.
differentiate. Yeah, differentiate.
Differentiate. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
French. I can't speak English.
I'm sorry. I think sometimes doing the lives in English could be more relatable to a greater
I
audience. I'm
know there's some
sorry.
more, yeah,
Putting you to the
but
test today.
I would say that it's even more important for smaller brands, because they're the ones who are, struggling, and they're the ones who really have to
Exactly.
keep their competitive edge in the market. So it's an exercise. It's there's an analysis, a step-by-step analysis, to really question them and bring out, different things.
And this analysis, I'm not, of course, going to go through the details because
No.
it's your personal process, but this like questions sheet, interrogation sheet, if we can call it, you have come up with it out of experience, or was it also something that you've learned throughout the work of your marketing experience, your retail experience with other brands?
Yes, it's really I would say it's very organic in many
Yeah,
ways. So uh, because if you want people to reveal things about themselves, because it sometimes it gets almost to a personal, especially if you're questioning a founder, right? So there are standard questions that are really basic marketing questions, and that I've observed and used from my experience. And there are questions that are necessary, and there are questions that I I bring into the table, knowing as I walk in, and knowing who the brand is, knowing who I'm dealing with, knowing what the product is, knowing what they are, what are they selling, and who they are, and then I kind of work around questions that are very specific to them.
yeah. So you're putting, like, you're doing a little knitting session to connect all of these dots. So now we've understood a little bit, like, the background of the brand. We have come prepared. We have met the brand and done the analysis. We have come up with the essence, and we have decided with the brand what facet he would like to share with customers. And you mentioned earlier that he should be talking to customers like in a direct way or an interpersonal way. So, like, what's the importance today of customers with regards to a storytelling, brand storytelling strategy?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Can you repeat that?
So, how important is for a brand to understand the customer and to cater the message to this
Okay.
customer?
Okay. Well, because if you want, if like I said earlier, the objective of storytelling is to create an emotional bond, right? So if like, let's just take one item: values. Your brand has values. And if it doesn't, you have to really look and think about and work on getting values. And so your brand has values. once you know, and your customers have values. All right. So when you do, you have a better understanding. And I'm not going to go into the details of how you should know, there's all this data stuff, how you should know who your customers are. Then what values really resonates with them. Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
so if you're sharing your values that are resonating with their values, you're creating a connection. And on top of that, and plus if you're taking into consideration what is happening in society at the time, and what are the values that are essential right now, so you're making like a threesome,
Yeah,
right?
a triangulation of all of this data to make more sense at the time when it's presented,
Exactly.
right?
Does that make
Yeah,
sense
that's
to
really
you?
important.
Okay.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier as well the importance of emotions and communicating emotions. And here we're on a different level of communications. We used to, as you started earlier, communicate the brand features, the product features, the benefits, etc. Today, customers do not want to hear about that. They want to relate. So, how can we differentiate ourselves based on emotions?
Well, it's not necessarily based on the emotions. Is that if you're creating affinity, so if you're telling a story that's resonating with your customer, and they recognize themselves, they recognize their own values, they recognize, what their philosophy is, and what really captures them about uh, uh, um, issues in society. It could be different things. Then you are creating a bond, you are creating an emotional bond, you are creating, it's not just, oh yeah, that's nice, I'm inspired. It's more, oh my god, that's exactly how I feel. Oh god,
Yeah,
I'm so happy that this brand is connecting with that, is sharing that. And that's that's what they stand for. So if you're standing for like social equality, and you're sharing that with your in a story with your customers, and they're concerned about that, then you're creating a bond, you're creating an affinity. And that's how people connect, right? People connect when they have affinities, when they can relate to each other. Because I think storytelling is really important right now, because it touches the human connection, and we have been so disconnected from humans. I went to the store the other day, and I mean, going shopping is a social activity. You
right.
go, you go shopping, then you have lunch with your friends, and then you might go see a movie or whatever, and that's all gone.
Mm,
I mean, you go to the store, you're wearing a mask, you have to clean your hands. So it's taken all that fun and all that human element and human, connection that we need. And storytelling is perfect for that, because
mm,
it brings back, the human element, and so the stories could be about of a brand, like, what do you want people to know about you? What do
yeah.
you want to know about you? And apart the fact that you're making a beautiful sweater, what else is there about your brand that you want to share with people?
Hmm. However, with all of these things that we believe are important in today's brands and brands communications, there are definitely challenges. So, what are the challenges that brands are facing in today's retail market and that could be preventing them from doing their job or like from
Oh
better
my God.
storytelling? Yeah.
I mean, that's like there's a list, a long list of things. I think, like supply chain, manufacturing, delivery, getting, ordering your clothes and not getting them on time. I mean, that whole delivery thing. I know some brands who couldn't sell their stuff in the store anymore, and they're also manufacturers, and they had to open their manufacturers for people who wanted to manufacture masks. So it's like all the retail had to really rethink their whole business model to be able to survive. So those are like major challenges. And yes, I think storytelling could be great in that sense, that, you know, here I am, I'm a brand, I'm a manufacturer, and I've opened the doors to my manufacturer to be able to build masks and to help and be part of my community. That's a great story.
But on the other hand, a brand would always think of the brand's viability in terms of business. Certainly, we're working in retail, and at the end of the day, we want to remain on the high street or operational. In your opinion, when you go advise some brands about the importance of communicating through storytelling, would you also advise them that these actions are not always going to lead to sales or direct sales? Do you believe that storytelling increases the brand's value, but that does not necessarily
No,
lead to
it does.
direct sales?
It will drive to sell.
But
It will
not
drive.
instantly or instantly? Is it
Well,
an instant?
it will, I think both. It's a,
Okay.
if you're seeing content, it's all content, right? And if you're seeing content, narrative content on social media, that's, you know, drive to the store, and you're connecting, you're going to go to the stores. I mean, you're like, when you think of all the people that are, all the brands that are on social media right now, and you're a customer and you're trying to buy a sweater, and everybody's showing, you're not the only one having similar you know, sweater, right? There might be other brands. So with story, you're engaging people, you're captivating their attention, and you know, that's going to engage them and gain, you know, gain attention, because everybody, you're being
So,
different.
so they are going to be enticed actually because they believe that they share these values, that they're going to put their money actually with that brand because they feel that they connect with that brand. So, amidst
And
all of,
I just want to add, there are many ways of telling a story. And there's like, you know, presenting your values may not necessarily be what you choose to tell as your story, right? It could be a
yeah,
variety of things. And I just want to come back to immediate sales versus, so you could get immediate sales with storytelling. And what's really wonderful is that you're building trust, you're building loyalty, and you're building long-term relationships.
yeah,
So
that's
you
actually
have,
the point that I wanted to attend with you, with more attention when we're talking about communications strategies. Now we have to be thinking about clear objectives, right? And if we understand from this conversation, we could have objectives directed to sales, others only to maybe image, integrity, or whatever the brand chooses. So we're saying that through storytelling, we're going to achieve this finality, whichever we decide. However, we're going to do it with a lot of benefits, right? So tell me more about all of this, like the details of the communication strategy, whether it was directed to sell or to build an image or to maybe, I don't know, create an emotion with the brand, etc.
well, um, when I talked about the emotion with the brand, what I mean, that's the objective of storytelling. It
Right.
connects you with people. Now, in terms of communications and your strategy, um, yeah, you have to sit down and okay, so what is your strategy? What is the strategy for the next year, 2 years? Where do we want our company to go? Where do we want our brands to go? What kind of customers do we want to attract? Are we attracting a new generation of customers? Our communication strategy is to recuperate our, you know, our current customers we are losing to our competitors. So, you know, we want to work on the loyalty. So those are strategies that have to be decided, ahead of time before we decide what is the premise and what kind of storytelling are we going to be saying, right? So it's not just a story, it's in a story that has I think it should have a long-term, I think it should have a long-term purpose, because
Perfect.
you want longevity, you want loyalty for long term. You don't want quick, only quick sales and then you're forgotten. You want people to remember you. You
Yeah,
want
and you
people
want
to,
consistency from that effort
yeah,
actually that you
yeah,
have been building.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
And if a brand communicates through different touch points or different communications channels, for example, if they are present on different social media sites, if they communicate online and offline, and if they have on-site communications, for example, how does the concept of storytelling translate into each of these platforms?
Well, I think just you think storytelling is narrative, right? So it's a narrative. So you could have visual narrative, you could have a visual narrative with photography, with illustration, with video, and so forth. And those I think are beautiful, very effective ways to use on storytelling is perfect for social media, and it's necessary, ultimately is super necessary for your website, because when your people, so your whatever social media is driving you to the website, and then when you enter into this website, this is where you want the heart of your storytelling, because this is when people are entering your home in some ways. This is where they entering the world of your brand. So what are the tonalities that you're using in terms of visual tonalities, in terms of language tonality. So all of that plays a role in your storytelling. What language are you using? How are you communicating with people? I think it's also great for marketing campaigns, in email campaigns. In some of the omni-channel, certain brands, I think certain things apply, and in others I don't think it's storytelling is applicable. So that's part of the strategy that you also have to work at when you're doing your communication plan. And what is the strategy for the storytelling? What is the journey of your customer? What
Yes.
is their path? What
Yes.
path are they doing? So where do we want to tell? So then you want to tell a story here, but we don't have to tell a story there because they don't go there, right? So that's
Mm.
another reason why it's so crucial and so important to know who you're talking to and who really is going to resonate to your story.
Yeah, that's really important. I mean, thinking about these points, about the importance of different brand touch points and this marriage between online and offline. And whilst you were talking and describing, I was really imagining the importance of like taking the customer by the hand and leading him all the way through our channels to tell him that story. And this is
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. And, I think this, for me, when I think of storytelling, I also think like inside the physical store, right? If I come back to the idea that we are human beings, we need connections with other beings more so than ever,
Yeah.
right? Because we've been so, I don't know what's happening in Paris, but here we're like in so much confinement. It's crazy, right? So, I mean, I envision how inside a store you could tell a story. But before I go there, what we need to do and what storytelling does, it creates that emotional bond, but it also creates intimacy,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
And
So
it would have prepped somehow the customer to accept what's going to happen in store, right?
exactly. So in stores, you could have, rearrange the store to be more intimate. you know, not like these open spaces. Like I know Nordstrom did something really beautiful, right? With their recent store where they have like a stylist that you know, that helps you find the right styles for you. So there's more contact with humans. So it's the sales associates are not just there to say, here's size 8, here's size 10, go over there, let me look for you. You know, they're there to really, you know, when I worked in retail, because I did work in retail in stores, and I remember I worked for Ralph Lauren in a small shop, and I just loved when customers would come in. I wanted to find out as much as I possibly can about them without
Yeah.
being, you know, without being indiscreet, but
Intrusive.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, as much. And and I would always end up finding things for them that were perfect, to a point where when they wanted to come and shop to the store, they called and asked when I was
For
in the
you. Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So what stops us from doing
I mean,
that?
we're going back. We're
to
going
some
back to
to
many.
some extent.
Exactly. I mean, this is so like one-on-one and personal concepts of I don't know. I don't want to call them marketing concepts more than being like human commerce concepts. You know, you're just there. This is a client. You have to please him. You have to treat him. You have to thank him for coming in and purchasing from your store and your product.
Absolutely.
And this is, I think we have forgotten this. We have all gone through the flow of fast food shopping, you know, like just
Yeah.
going there, ordering whatever, just being a little number. And now we're valuing all of this, as you said, because the access to products and services have become so easy with internet shopping, and it's very important today that we understand the customer's purpose of going down to the store, and we need to give this purpose to him and to make his shopping experience more enjoyable, right?
I agree.
Um, so let's just tweak all of these things back and to put them in that context. You mentioned earlier a little term that I love, like triangulating data to come up with that perfect story. So now, could we give some major axes or guidelines about storytelling that people could benefit from to make the most of their relationships with brands?
Yeah, well, I would say the first thing is, well, know who you're going to be talking to. You want to know, you know, who is this? You're not doing this just in emptiness, you know, like a story that nobody's gonna listen or resonate with. That's for sure. And then you want to do the legwork of understanding of who you are, really developing your DNA and your brand identity, and understanding, you know, um, that to me is like, that's the basic thing, right? That's the basic thing. And some of the questions that I ask my clients, and I think it's a good thinking process, is like, what do you want people to know about you? You know, really, what do you want them to know about you? Something that really holds you, that you're in, is really dear to you, and to your brand. Like, what do you want them to know about you, and how? So let's think about that, right? And another thing is that also a typical marketing question: if you weren't here, what would we be missing?
Oh
If
yes,
your
yes.
brand wasn't here, what would we be missing? You'd be very surprised what people say. Oh my God, that, you know, all kinds, right? So those are questions you want to ask yourself to, like, start, you know, nourishing some ideas for stories. Um, and us also, another thing I ask is, if you make do you make a difference in people's lives, and what is it? what is that thing that you make? I had a client once who told me, who was in the food industry, and she said to me, she says, you know, if I make people happy, if people are happy with what they purchase from me, that's all I want.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
I mean,
you know,
so simple, and sometimes so difficult to attain, right? I mean, to go to that, to clean up all of the clutter that we have in our minds as brand managers or brand owners, and to come to that little sentence that reflects who we are and how we want to project ourselves. That's the basis of
yeah.
storytelling, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because we're so, you know, it's like storytelling in some ways is like think outside of your product. Think of you know, because like I said earlier, behind a brand there are people,
Hmm,
and
hmm,
behind and a customer are people, right?
hmm,
So
hmm.
how do these people come together? How do they connect if like there was no product? Like I'm just, you know, like what brings them together? How can they
Yes.
connect on, you know, and that they build a relationship? I tell my clients also is like think of your customers as your best friends. You know, they
Yes.
are your best friends. So how,
Yes.
like, what can we do together as best friends? I mean, that's just, you know, another yeah,
Scenario or way of putting it.
yeah,
Sylvia,
another.
I was thinking earlier, and sometimes like throughout the life, I get the enlightenment, you know. You have worked in retail for many years, and throughout, of course, you have had access to many brand practices and savoir faire, you know, how we do it, this is how we want to do it, this is, etc. Today, you're working alone. Of course, you have had a great career that made you learn and understand many things. From those experiences, what are the things that you don't want to do anymore in retail or you think should not be done?
I think I think that focusing too much on immediate sales, like pushing sales, I don't think that's the way to go. And
Mm-hmm.
I never worked that way really. I always had took a different approach, but I think that brands that are going to succeed today in retail are those who are really creating more, you know, meaningful relationships with their customers, being more client centric, creating, you know, memorable experiences for them in stores and online, and you know, really uh, thinking of a customers as being part of your community. You know, really building that community. They are part of your community. They are definitely part of your community, because without them, you wouldn't be in
Exist.
business.
Yeah, of course.
So really keeping those in mind. And I find that sometimes what's happening in retail, and mostly, and I've seen it with bigger players and in smaller players, they forget about that. They
Yes.
forget about their community. They're only focused about, I need to sell this bag.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so,
Maybe there's no place for any brand who is arrogant in retail, because I think brands should come down today to the customer's level and have this beautiful friendly
oh
exchange. I mean,
yeah.
you have put it so beautifully that well, and we're going back again and again to that simple form. I remember like last time we were exchanging about our memories when we were young, when our moms, I don't know if my mom is watching me today, used to take us to the souk, you know, or to the market.
Ah,
And
yes.
I still enjoy going on a Saturday market to buy sometimes fruits and vegetables, because it's so, I don't
Oh
know how to
yes.
describe it, you know, like refreshing to choose
Oh
such.
yes.
And and do my
absolutely.
my
Which,
marchandage.
yes, which tells you how memory, how your connection with things could carry you through the years.
Yeah, right,
So
of
just that
course.
memory of that, oh, and so that, something, triggered in you some memories, and that will carry you through years. So anything that's fast, that's great. It has its advantage and its benefits, and it's convenient, and all of that. And I have nothing against it. I love it. I love going to fast fashion stores, and I buy and stuff. But I think if we're thinking about what's coming and what's
Yeah.
going to be significant for consumers and customers, I think it's more intimate and more focused more on the human level.
Yeah, perfect. And indeed, my mom was watching. Thank you, mom. She
Hello,
said
Mom.
that she
Hi,
misses shopping. I think my mother is the person who put me in front of these retail
That's so
experiences.
nice.
Thank you. So, Sylvia, thank you so much for this enlightening and enriching conversation. I believe that it was an eye opener. Today we're talking about all of these storytelling concepts, and it's important to see that there are brands and people and consultants such as you who are focusing more. And I think you are being like the evangelist of storytelling, just convincing brands to rethink their existence,
Yeah,
to make more sense, in today's cluttered retail environment. Thank you so
absolutely.
much, Sylvia.
Thank you for having me. It was a
Despite,
privilege. And it was
thank
really
you.
like, thank you. It was so nice. You're in Paris, I'm in Montreal. Thank you for inviting me. It was absolutely lovely to chat with you. Really, really, really was. And
Thank
I
you
hope
so
if you
much.
come, if I hope when you come to Montreal, I'll take you for a little visit of all these quaint little
Little
neighborhoods.
HubSpot. Yes, I would
Yes.
love to. I would love
Okay.
to.
Okay.
Hopefully,
Take
hopefully. Thank you
care.
so much and
You're
have a nice
welcome.
evening.
You too.
Day and
Day.
evening.
Evening. Bye.
Ciao. Bye.
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 Bye.